Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the meditation stress release class. This is, I think, our third week now. And so you may have been joining me throughout, or this might be your first time. I'm Yuna. If you are just joining for the first time, you don't know who I am. So I teach yoga over at Habit, but also am a meditation teacher, an iRest meditation teacher. And I thought today we'd start with a little bit of a chat about meditation. What is it we're actually doing here, and what's the benefit of it? Especially if you're new to meditation, what is meditation exactly? And one of the aspects of meditation really is that we're honing our ability to move into our bodies and become very aware of that internal environment. Because in life, we're often attending outward to whatever's happening, around us, to conversations, just reading other people's faces and body language and responding to our environments. And this is a bit of a shift where we're moving inward instead and learning to really read what's going on inside us through interoception. And there's a lot, it's like a whole other world that we open up into, really, where we meet our thoughts, of course, we meet this physical body and its processes, the breath, emotions, and all of these things as movements within us, and also the ability to witness what's here and sort of step back and give us a bit more space and breathing room from the stressors in our lives, for instance. That ability to witness that's honed in a meditation practice is, in a way, a manner of speaking. It's an inner resource. It builds a capacity to be with our environment, especially in these kinds of stressful times, and become less reactive and more responsive in a way that's in tune with what we really need and what we want for ourselves. And it's also a way to come into direct communication with the nervous system. So we might have an understanding of the nervous system intellectually, but this is really a way to feel how your nervous system is responding. And if you're not, you might already have a sense a bit about the nervous system, but just in case you don't, just a couple aspects of it anyway are the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is our nervous system's way of assessing our environment and responding. So it's checking things out all the time. Is this safe? Is it not safe? And what does this body need to do in response to that? And then the parasympathetic is that rest and digest and renew system. And meditation has a way, as we drop into our bodies, into this ability to read what's here and be with what's here, feeling it, it increases the parasympathetic tone quite naturally. It taps into the parasympathetic, calming, nurturing aspect of the nervous system. And so today's practice is a bit focused on that, on this ability to read what's here, and also to feel the difference between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic, and become more familiar with that. And as there's nothing wrong with the sympathetic, it's a part of the nervous system, it's absolutely necessary. We don't want to get rid of it, it keeps us safe. But that ability, if we're overwhelmed by something, a stressor, then the ability to come back into that parasympathetic nervous system. And this practice is about that. So with that in mind, you might set yourself up. You can sit, you can lie down. Today, probably a bit better actually, or maybe more helpful to sit because sitting is true to life. It's a little bit more like we're practicing what it would be like in real life to do this, more active. But up to you. And if you want to have your eyes open or closed, that's up to you as well. How do you feel more safe, secure, grounded, eyes open or closed? So the first thing we do is simply notice what's happening currently in this moment. Start to feel open to the felt sense of your own internal environment here. Usually what I notice, and it could be the same for you, is how my mind is quite active from having a conversation, from talking. So you might feel the same thing. Just check in. And we simply sit and allow ourselves to settle. A bit like that, the snow in a snow globe. Once you shake it, it's all over. Thinking is a bit like that. And as we sit, that snow gradually, inch by inch, starts to settle on its own. Attention starts to settle. From paying attention to what's outside of us, like my voice, sounds, the room you're in. These might be the first things we notice, and that is a movement of your sympathetic nervous system, attending to its environment. And then we keep dropping down into this body of ours, feeling your way. And it's a bit like a lift, an elevator. At first we might be more settled in the head, the thinking mind. And then it gradually makes its way down and we start to shift into the throat, into the torso. The snow in that snow globe descends to the base, to the bottom, to the floor. And as this happens, this settling, this is more a movement of your parasympathetic nervous system. We're having a conversation with it, really. Tuning into it as a real felt sense, so it's not intellectualized anymore. It's coming in direct communication with it and feeling it. You might become aware of your body more and more, your body on the ground, making contact with that floor or cushion or chair. And checking into your spine, you might lift it a little bit more to support your seated posture. Allow your chin to descend gently towards your collarbones. And just the felt sense of the length of that, the opening of your body. And set thought free to be here. Allow thinking to keep happening. If it's happening, we don't have to stop it. Really important to know that we don't have to change or fix anything here. We're simply observing what is as we meditate. And that includes any desire or movement towards wanting to fix something and change it. That's okay too. Just acknowledge that. How we may want things to be different than they are. We may want things to continue to be exactly as they are. And this is something we can witness as well. No need to change or fix anything. Letting it all be as best we can. Set it free to be here. And keep tuning down and in to this internal environment, feeling your way moment by moment. At times, that snow in the snow globe will feel like it's been shaken again by thinking, by some sound that calls attention. Just acknowledge it, notice, and see as you notice how the snow starts to drift down to the bottom again, just by noticing. Allowing this descent, like you just step out of the way of doing, and it's just naturally happening. The nervous system is unfolding this on its own. So you might feel into your heart space, around the heart, the upper back, chest area. The settling down to this space from the thinking mind. And it could be that there's a settling that naturally happens here. If you keep following, it could also be that there's still a lowering happening, still a dropping or descent into this internal environment. More into your belly and deep into the gut even. Just observing this settling to the degree it's happening, where the settling is happening in your body. Or it could be that there's still more sympathetic tone, more aliveness and action, assessment of your nervous system to its environment. And that's okay too. We're simply noticing. That's all we're doing today, noticing. Stepping back and witnessing all of this unfolding. And it might be that you tune into your breath at the same time. Just a touch of awareness landing on this breath, or attention landing on your breath. And we don't have to shift the breath, we're just aware of the breath. as it is already, and how it feels here in your whole system and body. How does your inhale feel through your ribs and belly? You might notice your inhale around your low back, and how it expands your waist, expands your belly, expands even your low back, down to the base of your pelvis. Expansion on the inhale, and then the exhale, this contraction, everything settling back in to itself. Feel your way through it. Let go of the thinking and feel your way into the rhythm of your breath. Every exhale, almost like the tail of a kite, and you follow the exhale all the way to the end of that tail. A little lingering into it, perhaps. And then the breath turns into an inhale, expanding, opening, and that lengthening, dropping down and in as you're breathing out. Follow the end of that tail, feeling even that slight pause at the end of your exhale. Every time a thought forms, you might just simply notice the thought forming and drop back down into this centered place all over again. Tuning in to your rest and digest nervous system. Feeling what it's like to access this sort of okayness, calm, or ease in your body as a real felt sense. Your feeling of being resourced or safe, grounded, whatever the word that works for you. What's the perfect word for you to describe this feeling in your body? I might call it a sense of being that is not so much doing, it's simply an unfolding of what's happening here. It's a feeling of being or a simple presence tuned into the aliveness of the body living here. Find the word that's right for you, feeling into it and really honing into it. Absorbed by this internal environment, interoception. And as a practice, of becoming more familiar with your whole nervous system, you could try this if you want, where you really notice my voice or another sound around you in your environment, and start to attend to that instead, feeling your way through the experience, attending to that external sound. Whatever it may be, and then letting it go and dropping back down into this centered place. And that feeling of the snow in the globe lowering on its own back to the base, following the tail end of the kite through your breath, if that helps you. And then again, feeling out to this sound, the external stimulus of my voice or whatever it is, hearing sound, but feeling what it's like for your nervous system to go out and attend to something outside of you. Just that slight charge about it or a movement outward. And yet, something here still settled and calm and grounded. Your parasympathetic nervous system. Dropping back into that calm, grounded, centered place as a real way of building resilience, of building your sense of being internally resourced and safe. Use your breath or use that snow globe imagery. Use whatever helps you come back in. And trying that a few times at your own pace, where you go out and assess the external stimulus, whatever that may be. Sometimes it's more a movement towards a thought, or it's your nervous system's response to something that feels charged, like an emotion. It might be a sound, it might be a thought, it might be an emotion that your nervous system is tuned into. We're just noticing how attention can move towards something, or it can drop down in. And the difference between that parasympathetic resting calm place and the way your nervous system moves out and assesses its environment, sympathetic nervous system. So dropping back in and moving out towards whatever that may be. A few times just to feel that as a practice, as a sensation. And then you might, if it's right for you, really again dropping into that centered place, aware of it. And the next time you hear the sound or whatever it is you're attending to, see if you might feel the centered place staying there centered, calm, grounded, as you attend to the stimulus, both at the same time. Feel both at the same time. No right or wrong, we're just trying it out as an experiment. And feel your way into that. What does that feel like? To be grounded in your center and hear a sound at the same time. And a hint that your mind can't figure that out. It might try to, and you might feel confused, and that's perfectly normal. Let it go as best you can, and just drop into this moment as it is. And what it's like when there's nothing to figure out, nothing to do, no problem to be solved. It's just this. Opening to that. And as we bring this practice and this session to a close, just check in if you want to see how you're feeling afterwards, after that. Do you know anything that you didn't before? You don't have to, but it's a chance to check in. Maybe there's just a feeling that you're taking away with you for the rest of your day, your evening, your week. And then start to hear my voice just a little bit more concretely, taking it in, being more alert and awake again. So you might register your body here on the ground and register your inhale a little bit more. The inhale is invigorating more than the exhale. So breathing in just that little bit more. Sigh it out if you need. And you could open and close your eyes a few times as well. Registering your surroundings all over again, but gently and slowly. If you've been lying down, you might roll off to your side and start to come back upright, but all up to you. You could have a good stretch. Coming back more alert and awake. And just checking in with yourself, as you progress, know that, our buttons are really being pressed at the moment by the circumstances we're living in. Just being in the same space with your family can be challenging. Being by yourself can be challenging. So whatever position you're in the moment, you might take this practice into it with a bit of kindness, and also with a stepping back factor. That's simply observing what's happening here, observing how your nervous system is responding to these stressors outside of us. And let that be the kind of the hint, or the I don't know, what's the word? I guess the way, if you notice yourself moving out more and more towards, that's your sympathetic coming online. So let that be the hint, for lack of a better word, I'm going completely blank on words right now. Let it be the hint that drops you back down into that centered place. So you feel how you're moving out towards something. Not that that's a bad thing. That's how you're assessing the world. But if you need some calm, then that is exactly what tells you to drop into the calm. It's a reminder to go back in, down and in. So hopefully that was helpful. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.